I am so excited that you joined me on the My WHIM Life show, and I am thrilled to be able to share you with my people.
Well, thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here because I love hanging around you. You're so positive and energetic, and yeah, who doesn't want more of that in their life? Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. We were just talking before we started recording about all of the negativity in social media and, on the news and stuff. So it's kind of nice just to be able to focus on the positive every once in a while.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Yes. So tell everyone a little bit about you, both personally and what you've got going on in your business.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, again, thank you for letting me be here today. I'm excited to be here. I have personally, I'm married. I've been with my husband for 25 years, and I have 3 daughters. And so I have 2 daughters and he has a daughter. We're a blended family, and I call her my bonus daughter because she just makes everything so much better. I am an entrepreneur and a reverend, so I have Marie's Gold, which is a little bit of everything that I love. Some coaching, some speaking, some writing, and now I've just recently added the title of Reverend to my name, and that's a little bit about me.
Yeah, I know that that is something that's really new for you. Tell me a little bit about that journey. What did that look like? How did you get led in that direction?
Well, I just think spirit leads you in very curious ways. I am a very curious person, so it started out as a question and an inquiry. And I have a love and romance conference, or summit is what I call it because conference sounds too stiff.
Business.
And the very a few years ago, I had Misty Time Young, which you had as your guest recently, and I knew she was a reverend, and I've always wanted to marry people. It's just something I get giddy about love and romance, and I thought, oh, I just really want to marry people and create a journey and an experience for them more than and investing in the marriage part of the relationship versus just, the wedding part. And
Sure.
so I just inquired, and she spilled her testimony to me. And it was so personal and so sweet. And then the curious part for me was my degree is in multicultural. And so when we were going to learn a little bit each month about a new religion and practice their practices and get a taste of all the major world religions, I thought, well, that sounds really interesting and it sounds fun. Sign me up. Well, then then that's the hook. That's what gets you in there. And then you realize, oh, it's not about all of that. It's about me and my personal journey. And it's been a really wonderful experience because I get to have a stronger connection with spirit, and I get to be in this community with some really amazing people. And so just imagine this, being in a room full of about 100 people from all different backgrounds, all different races, religions, jobs, opportunities, and we just focus on the word love. And well, you already know love's my big word. And it's just this amazing experience, amazing community of people who just are driven from spirit. And so that was, yeah, now I'm hooked, and it's my spiritual home is One Spirit. So yeah, that started out being curious.
I love it. I'm super a curious person just like that. Maybe not necessarily always guided in the same direction, obviously, because I think we've all got our own internal compasses that lead us around sometimes, whether that's from the heart or from the spirit or whatever that is. But I definitely get the curiosity piece of that for sure.
That's
So
usually how I get hooked into things. It's like, oh, that you already know my language. So yeah.
exactly. So tell me a little bit more about Marie's Gold.
Well, I was a teacher. It's my third opportunity in career. I was the secretary for the police department when I first started, and then I was a teacher for 20 years. And I loved teaching. It was my heart and my passion. I got to teach 5-year-olds who can teach you what life is all about. And I loved that. But it was time for a shift and to really pursue my passion of enhancing relationships and making relationships stronger. And so I took an early retirement. Because I had worked for the state for a while, I was able to take this early retirement. And they go, oh, you can stay for 12 more years. And I go, why? Because I can do what I would really have a passion for now. And so I got an opportunity to passion. And so when I sat down to figure out what the business was, I knew I love writing. I've taught writing for probably 15, 20 years. I do something called poetry therapy, which is a way to write from the inside and heal, doing personal journeys. And so that I developed a For You project. And then I also love speaking and storytelling and all those fun things. And I didn't know what to call it. And my husband goes, well, I know, let it be Marie's Gold. The other reason is because Marie Wallace is a pretty common name. There's like 3 famous people named Marie Wallace. So Marie's Gold was this thing. And it was also part of a journey because I had started writing a book about me and my dad. And it was called, my dad wanted it to be called A Junk Man's Journey, and we added the tagline, Rummage for the Gold in the Soul. So then it just all aligned so perfectly because I got to see some beauty in a whole bunch of chaos. He was a junk man, a big hoarder, but you could just see all this gold in the linings of things. And so that's the journey of Marie's Gold. It's just all the things I love. I mean, who wouldn't want a life like that, just to enjoy all the things you love and call it a business? It also now has recently been doing conferences and coaching and now some new things called like Heart Crate to bring in dates, more fun dating things in your life. So, yeah.
And you have so many different things to dig into. Tell me a little bit more about your love and romance summits that you have put on. I don't, what does that look like for the future? What have you done in the past? I mean, the environment is changing, but I still think it's so important to keep that top of mind all the time.
I really appreciate this question because it's something that's near and dear to my heart. My husband and I both have failed at relationships, and actually, if you're human, you've probably failed at some relationships. And we knew that there was this craving and this need for people to have role models because they would go, oh, we can't have a relationship like yours. Yours is a unicorn, and we have an amazing relationship, but by no means discount all the work and the time that we put into it. And after 25 years, it should look a little bit easier. So,
practice.
And that was again one of those, practice. One of those things where you wake up one day and Spirit just says you're putting on a conference. And like I said, I like the word summit better. And I went, what? I'm going to what? And I'm going to how? And honestly, from doing things like, your podcast and your YouTube videos and all the amazing things that you do, you just follow the call. And so I just took one step at a time and I built this amazing thing. I did know that I wanted community to be involved and I wanted to bring resources to people in lots of different areas. And so I had my very first one at Lake Harbor Event Center, and it was so amazing and beautiful. They have the lake there, and just giving people an opportunity to be with each other, engage with the speakers, just take that time to be alone and actually work together on making your relationship great. It didn't mean that anything was wrong with your relationship. It was just take you to the next level and have deeper connections. And my very first conference or very first summit, I'm in there and in the speaker's room, and one of my friends has me stop. And it was the most important moment in history. She just said, I want you to take a look at what you just created and enjoy the moment, because, some of us like me that are doers, we move to the next thing we're called to do. And sometimes we don't take that moment to just go, oh, this is amazing. And watching the conversations and feeling the energy of the room. And one of the really cool things that came out of that, I had a gal that has 7 sisters, and they told her she was too picky. And she said, I just don't think I am. And our conference gave her the permission to say, my standards aren't too high. I'm in alignment with what I value and I want. And she met, a couple of months later, she met her husband, right? Her husband, to be on a camping trip. Now, you take someone to a camping trip, you don't meet them, right? So never end the possibilities with that. And we had speakers fall in love along the way. It's just been an amazing experience. And I think all I get to do is be open to who is called to be in that space and bring them in. And it always magically works out that we're all talking about the same things, and then it just flows real nicely. And then the last 2 years, we've added this night of play. And what I like about that is sometimes as couples, especially right now, right? We have so much going on. We have kids and jobs and social media and people asking all these things from our time, not only from our personal time, but our time, couples time too. And so it's really a fun way to engage with your community and with your partner and just enjoy. So that's sort of evolving that way. And now with COVID going on, we had to make the decision to put it online, which adds an element of how do we engage with each other more? And people are tired of being on Zoom. Some people are. However, this is cool. We're going to go live this year. And we have Janelle Anderson, who's an amazing MC. And so she has these little activities, little parades and little fun things just to keep us moving and out of our seats. So it won't be like any live event that you've done as far as a live online conference.
Right.
So yeah, we're hoping to just, and then we'll have people moderating so they can ask the speakers questions right then and there. And so that's kind of where it's gone and evolved over time. And, you just be open to, okay, I guess that's what we're doing now. I think being open to possibilities and rolling with the flow and being flexible are all part of, growing your business, right? So
Sure.
That's what we get to do.
Yeah, and I think that sometimes for people is really, really difficult. In coaching entrepreneurs and business owners myself, watching them be like, this is what the plan is, when I can see the direction that they're being pushed in, and they're super resistant because that's not in the plan. Yeah, and you're like, you just gotta just open up just a little bit and take a look at what those possibilities are, because it may bring you something that you couldn't have even dreamed of.
I know. I never imagined I'd be doing a reverend. I'm going to be a reverend. They asked me, what do you think? What do you think your service is going to be, or your ministry? And I'm going, ministry? I didn't sign up for that. Oh yeah, you did. So yeah, be open to the possibilities, but then you just realize that you're in the middle of whatever it is that you were meant to be doing anyway. And so my life is my ministry. And being open to the possibilities of that is what allowed me to go, oh, okay, I can be of service in this way. And so, yeah, being open to possibilities is so huge. I think I had a client once that just couldn't see past this one thing. And so I had her move on the tiles on the floor. Okay, I said, it could be this, because she was sure what someone was thinking, right? I said, well, it could be this, or it could be this, or it could be this. And so I gave her 10 different scenarios, and she was like, oh, yeah. So, I mean, or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
It's just that we sometimes get stuck in these rigid roles or these rigid thoughts, and then it doesn't leave room for growth or nuances or fun little treks, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Speaking of creative opportunities, I know that out of this love and romance, part of what you and Joe do to stay on top of your relationship is date each other. And now you are coming up with a date box. What does that look like?
Well, I have to thank one of my friends because I had this book on my heart for probably, I don't know, 15 years, maybe a little bit longer. And Joe and I have dated since day one. We had children, so the only time away was Thursday nights, and we called it Happy Thursday. And what I love is I got a chance to be creative. So I created this really special date for Joe. He was a bachelor, so I snuck into his house because he used to leave his front door open, and I made him dinner. And he didn't have a table, so I found these little TV dinner trays and paint buckets, and just created this romantic evening in his garage with paint buckets and this little TV tray. And
Aw.
then he reciprocated, and we just had been doing these fun little surprises for each other off and on for the last 25 years. And so my friend goes, "You keep talking about making this book. I need this book. Will you write it?" And so I think it's been almost 3 years. I co-created it, found this amazing graphic designer, Tiffany Eller, who could read my mind. Like, she took the things that I was thinking and dreaming. I made these recipe cards so that it would be real easy, because my husband said, us dudes just want something that's laid out for us. So give us a recipe. So
For
it's
sure.
it's really recipes for days, and it's called the Romance Cookbook. Well, from there it evolved. Well, some people said, well, I really want someone that will create that for me, right? Or have that ready for me. And so then I think I'm the only one who's thought of this. There are plenty of people out there who have been doing it. But I think what's been fun for me is it's a way for me to keep expanding, right? I get to be creative
Yeah.
every couple of months, because right now we're just doing them seasonally, but every couple of months we put together 3 dates, and they have kind of a theme to them. And then we have games that connect you, and fun little recipe to create together, and just giving you time for your relationship where you don't have to go out and do all the things and buy all the things. But I also did one, because my heart's still on weddings. I did one that created something for weddings intentionally. So we have love notes, which we think are super, super important. Just showing your partner how much you appreciate, just instilling those habits. There's an intentions fun grid, and there's a date night jar, just to instill the habits that you want to use in your relationship. Because you know what? The dishes are going to be there tomorrow. All the chores and all the things and all the kids and the pets and all those will all be there. But just taking some intentional time together and doing something fun was my whole intention behind creating it. And then, like I said, you just get to keep creating and going, well, I like this, I think this would be fun for someone else. And I think we don't play enough as adults, and that's one thing I learned as a teacher, is that you follow a 5-year-old around like everything is play. And I think they enjoy life more, right? They walk into a room and everything is amazing and lovely and awesome, and we just need more opportunities. So that was the intention of creating all of that. So
Yeah, I think it's so interesting that you bring up play, because that's been one of the things that I think has been really hard for me. I'm so driven and so like do the things. That play is definitely gets lost on me pretty often. And our mutual friend Megan Bryant has really helped me
oh,
bring
she's
play
awesome.
back. Yeah, she's fantastic. So I've definitely taken a lot of her classes and encouraged my friends to take her classes, because I just didn't realize how much I was missing that piece. And it turns out it turns out I really like to play. As a
Oh,
matter of fact, at a friend's gathering recently, I usually, kind of hang back, and I like the one-on-one stuff. I'm really good one-on-one with people. But they finally got me up there and put Bohemian Rhapsody on the karaoke machine, and let me just tell you, first of all, cannot sing at all. Not
neither
even
can
a
I.
little bit. But I just belted that thing out in the most ridiculous manner, and I haven't laughed that hard in years. So,
Oh,
that play thing where you go, "Oh yeah, that's what this feels like." And you get that genuine belly laugh going, and it's just magic. It really is.
it's the
So
5-year-old in you that's been longing to come out and play for a while. And
yeah.
yes, and the belly laughs. And so some of the games that we've created, we of course we have to play them, and that brings this whole new element of seeing your partner in a different light. And some of the other things we do for date night are in service to others, because see your partner in service, it adds another element to your relationship. I just think it deepens the connection. There's just not enough time sometimes for the experiential. Yes, date night is awesome, but
Yeah.
trying lots of different kinds of fun things. And I would have loved to have been there on that Bohemian Rhapsody. I think that would be awesome. And yeah, and that's the other part of me that wishes I could like peek in. I have people who come to me, they started calling me the Love Rev about a year ago, and people will come to me to tell me their love stories because their friends don't want to hear them anymore. And I go, please, please, whenever somebody gets a new update or something cool happening in their relationship, please tell me. I don't know where that came from, except that maybe um, this is a little tangent, just that my parents were never successful. My mom left when I was 5. My dad was married like 8 times and never could find that. And I'm going, I just don't want that for me or for my children. And I'd rather not be married, which is how I got to that solution of, oh, okay, I'm failing at this. What do I have to do? Step back, work on this. And if I could give anybody a piece of advice, it would be anytime you want something to change in any of your relationships, especially your primary partnership,
Mhm.
start here, because that's where all the changes happen. And as I change and I grow, my partner usually automatically does. And anyway, I just think that's where my passion came from, because
Sure.
I wanted people to have that joy and love, and I knew I wasn't a unicorn. And so, yeah, more time to play, more time to engage and connect. And I don't know, I just appreciate talking about it.
That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
No, I love it. And there's so many people I know that are benefiting from all the different things that you have put out into the world, whether it's your books or your summit or these date boxes or anything. Like, it's just people are craving that opportunity to connect. And they just don't always know how to do it. So you
Yeah.
being able to hand them a recipe for that is pretty freaking remarkable.
Oh, thank you. I think it doesn't matter. It's just fun for me. Right? It does matter. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that if I focus on, that part is as long as I keep enjoying and building and growing from there, I know
Yeah.
that we will reach people. I think I've heard this in a previous interview of yours too. I'm a big fan of the ripple effect, right? If I can make a difference in this life, that makes a difference in so many lives. And I think that's where the heart space that I come from is is serving in my way, and my way is through fun and play and experiences and putting it out there. But yeah, I got to be having fun along the way too, because how convincing is it if I say, hey, let's play, and I'm like,
Right. Yeah. No, that definitely doesn't work. Definitely doesn't work. So from the entrepreneur side, now that we're talking about, we do things because we love the creation process, but there's definitely a point where it can't just be all dreams and rainbows and all the fun stuff. There's work that has to be done to make this a reality. So what skills do you have that you use to stay motivated, focused, and on track, making what you have dreamt about turn into a reality?
That's an awesome question. I think planning is always a part of it. I think sometimes we're in resistance to planning, but anytime we're successful, it's usually because of planning. And I have that in my teaching background. It doesn't mean you're rigid with that plan or that schedule, because what I've learned as a teacher is the plan is there so that you have a structure to move forward, but knowing that you're going to monitor and adjust along the way according to whatever the needs are. In that case, it was students. In this case, it's my business. So definitely planning, calendaring, dreaming. There's a method that I learned from our old friend Frank White a long time ago, gave us this little formula, and you just kind of organize who your people are and start learning how to delegate. That was hard as a teacher because teachers are used to like changing the hats, and so learning to delegate has been helpful. Enlisting people who believe in so having that support and listing of people who believe in what you're doing is always helpful, because this entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart.
No.
If you're not, if you don't have that support system, you could easily just take a dive, because it does hurt the heart sometimes when you go, oh my gosh, this is the waiting game for something to take off. Things always take longer than you expect them to do, and all the iterations from that, right? The date boxes alone, I think I started those in March, maybe April, and now they're just now starting to take off. But it takes a while. You just have to be patient with yourself. But here's my key tool: have fun along the way. If you're not having fun as you're doing it, and I know I say that a lot, but honestly, if you get too serious in there, you could easily just throw in the towel very quickly. And just looking at it as a journey, I had a counselor once who called it the blue highways. Take the blue highways, because that's where the scenery is and all the fun stuff. And just take a moment to say, you know what, this is cool. Because when I started my first conference, I got to tell you, I think I was a basket of nerves, because I really wanted to do well for the speakers, and I really wanted it to have this ambiance for couples, and you have all these moving parts. And if I would have gotten so serious all the time, it wouldn't have had the feel. Like, imagine going to a conference where I'm like this the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah, which
And
I
it's
was
supposed
at
to
the
be
beginning. Yeah.
playful.
Fortunately, I have a husband who's really supportive and just helps ground me and reminds me of where I'm at. So having supportive people around to remind you of those moments of your why. Holding your why close to your heart it helps get you through those moments when you're going, oh, really? I have to make like 10 more phone calls, or I like this year. I mean, I could have given up and said, I'm not going to have a conference this year, or I could figure out how to monitor and adjust and have a big learning curve. Fortunately for me, I have some experience with doing some video conferencing kind of things. However, it doesn't mean when you're actually putting on the conference that it's easier, because it's not. So I guess those tools along the way is just having the planning, having the people, being flexible. Going back to that other part that we talked about earlier, being flexible is probably the most important part. And when something's not working, don't give up. Just say, hey, I know there's a way. There's always possibilities. I just haven't yet thought of it. So I call myself the queen of possibilities, because you can't tell me no. I know there's a way. I haven't figured it out yet, but I know there's a way. And so I think that's some of the tools that I would say. There's probably others along the way. But if at any point, and that's what I always said to myself as a teacher, if at any point I feel like I'm not enjoying it, or it feels too rigid and I'm not I'm not enjoying that experience. Either I need to create something new and move forward, or maybe try a new career. I know that I can't ever not. I can't really be retired. My husband goes, "You don't retire very well." And I go, "No." So yeah, I started over 50 being an entrepreneur, and I can call myself that now. It took a while. I remember my very first networking meeting, and they're like, they had these pitches down, and I'm like, who I am? I don't know what I am. So maybe taking a deep dive into who you are and what you really want to do is, probably important too. Did I
Oh,
answer your question?
yes,
Oh, good.
absolutely. I totally get exactly what you're talking about. And, same thing. I remember when I first started, outside of real estate, once I started doing coaching and talking to people about that, I'm sure people were like, oh, what is she, like, she needs some confidence, and here I am. I've always been a super confident person, but when you move into something new, you're like, I don't really know what am I supposed to say? What does that look like? How does that sound? What am I supposed to say? There's just so many things that I think change in that moment. And that's where, people like you and I that have been through that and know what that feeling is can really help others kind of walk through that process. For sure.
It certainly stretches you as a person, right? Like you said, you
Absolutely.
can be a totally confident person, and then you're thrown into this new situation. You're going, oh, I'm not really good at navigating this right now. And so I think it's also important to get a coach. I mean, even coaches have coaches because that's how you get to the next level. And so I think never shy away from coaching, because you can always learn more and grow as a person, because the coaching's just as much for you as it is for them. You learn
Yeah.
new aspects about yourself, and you're going, oh, okay, that's super cool. So
Yeah.
yeah, I got to
Totally.
work on that.
Yes, and
Which is why those people are in your life. You
yeah,
get to explore and learn and create together.
absolutely. So another question for you. What in your life or business do you feel is not negotiable?
My life or business? Ooh, that's a very good question. No mean people. I don't have time in my life for mean people or inflexible people, because we're evolving as people. No one, um, I guess I have a hard time with these rigid ways of being. And so I think for me, not to say everything has to be positive, because I mean, I am a positive person, or I feel that that's where I gravitate. It doesn't mean that I'm not willing to explore, learn, or dig in, down and dirty too. I just think having a mode of love and kindness in the world, and compassion, because I think, um, for me, nothing is rigid. We don't know the journey anyone is going on. Sometimes we don't know the journey we're going on.
Most of the time.
um, and just leaving room for that, everybody to find their own way, because we all came here with our gifts and our passions and the things that we were intended to do here. And just know that everyone's doing the best they can. As far as non-negotiables, I think in my relationships, I like it to be reciprocal, where we're supporting each other, where we're building each other up, where we're holding each other's brilliance for each other. I don't think there's enough of that in the world, where you say, you know what, you are so amazing and brilliant. Let me be the mirror for you. If it, just building each other up and building community, I'm a big fan of that. I think I sort of circled around that, because I'm I'm not rigid in any of that. I just know that you can be in my space or not in my space, but if it's too much conflict, as far as, and it's not workable,
Sure.
maybe that's the end of this season. Who knows? I do know understand relation. Every person comes into your space for a reason, and so yeah, that's where I'm at, I think, on that. I know that was a circle, but
No, it totally wraps right back around to, what you initially said was, I don't like mean people or people who have have rigid standards. You have to be able to be flexible because we know that we're growing all the time, and so we're going to make mistakes. We're going to change our mind. Our opinion about something may change given new information. And I think that we seek out other people who are willing to take a look at that kind of stuff. If you are dead set in your ways and this is the only way and this is the only right way, that's when things get a little uncomfortable with me, because I think it's really interesting. I had a friend of mine send me a video, and it was very political, very one direction. But they definitely had some really good points that made me think. And she wanted feedback, and I said, I think the biggest thing for me is there are some really good points that got me thinking. I definitely want to now do some more research on this subject. However, I noticed that several times the speaker said, I know this is how it is, when really there's actually no possible way they could know that's how it is. And
mm-hmm.
that makes me really uncomfortable with pursuing the rest of the information, because I feel like it's being forced on me rather than providing information in order for me to make a decision. So I totally feel you on that. Like, I just want to be around people that are like, this is my experience. What is your
Challenge my beliefs? Please do.
Yes.
I don't mind
Exactly.
that at all. Like if it becomes a inquiry, I love seeing other people's perspectives and
Yeah.
going, I talked to someone this weekend who has almost opposite beliefs that I do. And I said, well, why do you think that way? And he listed out all these things, and I go, I can totally see your perspective. Doesn't mean I'm going to change mine. Actually, I changed a couple of things by what was said, but it was really an honoring of that other person. I think that's what the word I'm
Yes.
looking for. Those relationships where we're honoring of the different viewpoints, and you eat up the fact that wow, they have a different perspective, and I love that. But I've seen too many people and know too many people personally, well, it's a fact that this is happening, and it's a fact that this is
You're
happening,
like,
and it's a
well,
fact. Oh, even these days, like even watching various news sources, I still feel like I don't know a fact in any of it. So I
right.
think, like you said, just being so rigid and not willing to look at it is, I don't know. I
Just not our
love the
cup of
inquiry
tea.
though. Challenge me. I love the challenges in a respectful way, right? I
Sure.
think my husband loves playing those question games. Some days I'm really open for it, where he's like, and so he and his mom used to do this. Like she would take one side and he would take another, whether they believed that side or not, and they would
Yeah.
love to like debate it down. And it was so interesting to watch. A little rough to be part of as far as that goes, but it was fun to watch. And it's like, oh, I can see your points in that. And so that's my curious information, input part of me that I love. But at the same time, if you're so rigid in your thinking and think you know it all, it's not very much fun.
Yeah.
Yes, you do. You know it all. And so,
Like, and yay for you.
yay,
Yay for you.
yay.
So tell me and everyone else watching, where can we find you, your love and romance goodness, your date boxes, all of your good stuff that we need to get a hold of?
Well, at mariesgold.com. So it's Maries, mariesgold.com. So that's where the hub of everything is, and you'll see little pieces and parts and different things. I just want to say it was so much fun to be here, and I just appreciate you very much. And I appreciate learning about all the yummy, good people that you know too. So keep doing what you're doing because it's awesome.
Thank you. I definitely, this is one of those, heart-led scenarios. I have no other reason to do this other than I just love it. I love connecting people, and I find that connecting people one-on-one, especially right now, is so hard to do in an effective way. And so this makes me feel like I can share one person with so many more in a deeper way than you're going to be able to connect with all of those different people. So I just love it.
Me too. So is your number one um, talent connecting people? Is that one of
It's
your top five in
It's
strengths?
not actually in my top five strengths, interestingly enough. My top five, I definitely know by heart. My number one is significance, which I think is the really kind of wraps around to the reason that I do this show. I have to feel that the work that I'm doing is making a significant impact in others' lives. My number two is restorative. So it's all back to relationships. And then I have activator, which makes me just do all the things. And then and then I do command, which makes it so I'm not afraid to get on camera. And number five is communication. So
Oh,
literally every one of my top five strengths, I get to use to their utmost potential, putting this show together, and I love it.
oh, well, thank you for being you in the world. That's
Thank
awesome.
you. Yes. Okay, I have one last question that I always ask at the end of every show, and it is, how do you give back?
My giving back is I I love just connecting with people. I'll randomly send cards or gifts, but recently I've been randomly investing in people's businesses. Now, it's not a lot, but it's my way of
Sure.
contributing and just going, you know what, I really believe in your business. And so I'm going to do this. And that's usually the way. I do believe there's a lot of components of my conference where I give back, and I do very similar to you where I interview people and I give them the opportunity to shine because we just don't have enough of those in the world where you go, look at all the amazingness, because we each have that
Yeah.
in the world. And so those are some of the ways. There's probably other ways that sometimes I just randomly donate to people's birthday charities and those kinds of things, and just find ways to do that. And now as a reverend, I'm working to be a companion in care, especially during these difficult times of COVID, and honoring people and helping them through those. So a lot of times random calls, phone calls, just to check in on people that I know are having a hard time. So yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. I appreciate that about you very much. I think everybody has their unique ways of giving back. And I think more than anything, asking that question gives people an opportunity to think about how they are showing up in this world, for sure. I appreciate you very much, and we will talk to you soon.
Thank you. Mwah. I've had a good time.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the My WHIM Life show today. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a moment of the goodness.